Hi everyone. Salam alaikum, and hi to everyone in the future looking at this as a recording. I'm Diana Campbell Betancourt. I'm the artistic director of the Samdani Art Foundation, and I'm really thrilled to be introducing Shadhin and Moshum, who are the founders of the Gidree Bawlee Foundation for the Arts, which is an amazing artist-led initiative that's been active since 2001 in Thakurgaon. And for a little bit of background, the Samdani Art Foundation has been working with artist-led initiatives and supporting them through kind of a network of networks since 2017. And part of the reason why we started this initiative, which is called the Samdani Artist-Led Initiatives Forum, is we realized that there were a lot of initiatives such as Gidree Bawlee that are very active in their communities, but they're so active that they're not, spending their time working on English-focused marketing materials or web materials. They're really busy doing community-led work, and we wanted to use our platform to give people visibility into the incredible work that they're doing. So parallel to Gidree Bawlee, which Moshum and Kamruzzaman Shadhin will tell you more about in a minute, Kamruzzaman has his own individual artistic practice that collaborates with Gidree Bawlee. So this presentation will go through through that and kind of give us insight into life and work up in Thakurgaon. And in my email, I mentioned that there would be a kind of open studio. Unfortunately, there was a rainstorm yesterday, so the works are installed in a different way than they were on the 19th, but we'll still get to see some actual artworks. And so without further ado, hi guys, walk us through your work.
So, hello everyone.
Hello.
I'm Moshum and
Shadhin.
And we run Gidree Bawlee, and we will be talking about Gidree Bawlee today, as Diana said. And thanks to Samdani Art Foundation for giving us the chance to show you around. We will have a live tour of our space afterwards. I'll begin with the slideshow then. Should I share my screen?
That would be great.
How do you do that? This one. Oh. So is it visible now? Can you see it?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay.
Yeah, just make it bigger, like play it as a slideshow so we don't see the slides on the screen.
Yeah. So we are based in Thakurgaon in Bangladesh. There you can see we are up northwest, and this is Dhaka at the center of the country. And this is very close to the Himalayas.
So you're completely surrounded by India.
The red part is Thakurgaon. So yeah, almost 50% of the border is with India. This is the place we work in, and we are based actually in a village in Thakurgaon, which is called Balia. And this is our space. I mean, we hold residencies as well. So we hold our residencies here. And this works like an open studio work. I mean, artists work here as well, and also stay in that house that you can see over there. So let's look at some of our projects and how should we move to the projects or talk about I'll talk a little about Gidree Bawlee, because I don't want to be it like a talk session. So we call ourselves a community creative collective. So what we work with are artists, performers from all over the village and the surrounding areas. And we make collaboration between them and contemporary artists that we bring in from mainly from the other parts of Bangladesh, because we haven't hosted many foreign artists, because we find that language is a big barrier for community work. but I think we'll be finding more ways to approach that. I mean, maybe we will host more international artists in the coming years. And so residency was our major activity for the past few years. It was established in 2001. The organization was founded by Shadhin and some of his Chantal friends, Shunil Tudu and Vishnu Tudu. And
I'm sorry, Moshum, if you could you tell us a little bit about the Chantal community there and the different languages and kind of the context and where the name came from also?
Oh, okay. So the village has several indigenous communities. We have the Bormon community. We have a large Santal community here. The Santals are, I think some of you are familiar with the Santal community because they are very famous because of their, space near Shantiniketan. Shantiniketan was established in Santal, surrounding Santal community villages. And so there's a large community we have here who are Santal, and the organization was, Shadhin, this village is actually where Shadhin was born and partly grew up until he moved for education to Dhaka. But he has friends with the Burman community and the Santal community, and also we have a large number of Muslim settler community here. They're internal migrants that came from the rest of the Bangladesh. And they have a rich heritage of craft and performance and various rituals that are happening all the time. So, Shadhin grew up with this, and so I think his art is that's why his art is very community based, because this is how he grew up with these all of this surrounding him. And Gidree Bawlee means Gidree Bawlee is a Santal expression. It's in their language. It means children's babble. So it's how when they worked in their way. The artists' work are not. It's considered as children's play most of the time. So that's how it came about. The name came about. So. So they founded this in the Santal community during in 2001, and after that they have worked there specifically for till now. Actually, we have a very close connection with the Santal community, but we also have the Burman community, who is this space is surrounded by Burman community. The Santal village is it's not that far, 4 to 5 kilometers from here. So since then we've been, from 2013 we've been holding structured residency programs and various cultural activities, collaborating with the communities in the Santal village and here. And that's how basically we work. And so we will move to some of the projects that Shadhin has done with Gidree Bawlee. So this is a very this pond is a major place of activity. It's just behind me, a few steps of walk from here, and Shadhin has done several performance and installations around and in the pond. So what you see here is a performance called Geet. Do you want to talk about it? Okay. So so these are all women. You can see only one man here, but these are all women surrounding the pond, and they have brought with them the pot that they cook rice with. So Geet is a traditional singing performance that they do during various festivals, mainly during the weddings, and also if they want to greet someone new in the village uh, or someone's birth. I mean, it's an integral part of the women I mean, the female gender here. I mean, they all know how to perform in this Geet, and they have and the lyrics are mostly improvised. So they improvise the lyrics, and it's a collective performance always with dancing. You can see them dancing there. So what Shadhin did was he actually he worked as an orchestrator, conductor of an orchestra. So they were placed in groups around the pond, and he directed who would go first and which 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 group will go first. And so it was echoing, and they were communicating through Geet. I mean, they were sending some sounds to the other part, and they were also responding to that. So that's how it went on for about half an hour.
And also the echo sound is the most important part of these villages. In more than 1 kilometer, they can talk each other.
They can hear you.
They can.
Yeah, it's a very silent place. So I mean, this was heard from a kilometer away. Oh yeah. And afterwards, that's Shadhin and some parts of the performers. And afterwards, they were I mean, they floated their pots on the pond, and it was very funny because they picked different kinds of leaves to put in the pots so that they don't get mixed. And it was a very cheerful performance. I love it. So this is another one. So this was back in 2014, and it was also around the pond. So he actually built this float with a banana tree with the help of the community, and he performed on this. It was the theme of the performance was there's a video of this performance. I think it's available in his website if you want, you can see it. So what he did was from 2014 we became really aware of how the agricultural communities, because the main profession of the communities is agriculture here, and the practice is absolutely exploitative of they're bound to use hybrid crops, and because of that they use large number of pesticides and insecticides that's very harmful for nature. And it came about because we were looking for local fish for our lunch, and we couldn't find any because and all of them said no, local fish has been gone extinct because these local fishes survived on the rice fields, but due to using large number of pesticides, these fishes are all gone now. So this performance was about that. Shadhin collaborated with a Santal dance performing group, and they were dancing there, and that with their traditional instruments, and Shadhin was on the float telling about the, I mean,
just avoid them or telling about the negativity of
he actually enacted as a creature who came here to tell them about the harmful effects of agricultural practice that they're doing right now. And it's not it's not, I mean, it's not their fault. It's just that they're made to do it now. So this performance was called One with Nature. Okay. Do you want to talk about it now? Shall we do it? So he wants me to talk only. So this is Greed. It was first exhibited at Balia village, and also he did his first solo exhibition afterwards with these rats. He made around 20,000 rats for this project, and it has a story. This is a typical Santali house. Only the roof would be made of straw, but here you can see the corrugated tin. And this particular house is almost 100 years old, and they have kept it like this. But this the story is like when we spend a lot of our evenings in the Santal village, so talking with them, and they have a tradition of, you know, when the men and women come from work, they share a drink among them, and sometimes they sing, they dance, and we were there. We always spend a lot of time there when we are in the village. So once we were we were in one of that sessions of ours, and we saw that they have holes in the walls. So this is mud wall. So this house is made of mud, and so you can see the holes there. Those holes are original holes. I mean, this was there. This is not the house that we were sitting in. It was another house, but it also had holes. And when and also they were saying that they will tear this house down and build a teen house with teens around, you know, as walls. And we were like, this looks so beautiful. Why are you doing it? Because you've been keeping these houses for over 100 years. So what's the problem? So they said that the holes that we're seeing in there, sorry? Okay. So the holes that we are seeing in the house is made by rats. There's been a rat infestation in their houses, which was not there before. And when we asked more and we tried to find out what happened, why is rat such a problem? Because they actually, the Santals, rat is part of their food habit. So they hunt rats. So what happens so that they are, you know, tearing their houses down because of rats? So they were saying that, I mean, because of pesticides, these field rats don't have any place to go anymore, because the fields are all full of pesticides and chemical fertilizers, so they don't survive there anymore. So they take shelter in their houses. They build their houses in the human houses. So so Shadhin actually conceptualized that story and collaborated with them to make these clay rats around 20,000. So what you see here is not 20,000. I think there's rats inside the house as well. So there will be like 500 here. I think this was the initial exhibit in the Balia village, in the in the Santal community house. And so this is part of the installation. And also our rice. These are unhusked rice. It was in front of the house. So this is the image from the solo exhibition that he did in Dhaka in 2016. That's the same year.
Yeah.
the earlier image, I mean, at the Balia, it happened, I think, around in February, and this was in October or November. So by that time, he has built 20,000 rats and displayed it in the Alias Fosse in Dhaka. So that's a bigger picture. So there was also a video, but I don't have any image of that now. But the video was of a rat imprisoned in, and you know. So the installation was went about even to the outside of the gallery. Oh. So that was the solo exhibition, and it's called Rooted in Soil. And afterwards, he kind of represented it at the Asian Biennale that happens in the Shilpakala Academy. So this is the, so he for the Asian Art Biennale, he built a mud, he constructed a mud wall, which was surrounded by rats, and it was all a collaboration between the Santali community, and I think for making 20,000 rats, he had to actually involve other
four different communities.
clay craftsmen as well. So four separate clay craftsmen community was involved. Yeah. So yeah. So majority of the rats were sourced from here, from around the village. But he also involved another craftsman from Manikganj, which is near Dhaka. And it's a very tragic story, because during making this a very devastating flood occurred. Because yeah, it's always the same case. Because of the Faraka Dam, they opened it and all the water poured into Bangladesh and submerged a lot of areas. So our crafts community, that was it. So luckily in Thakurgaon, we rarely see flood because we don't have any major river flowing through it. So, but in Manikganj they have so the Padma.
Yeah,
So Yamuna as well.
Yeah.
Both.
Yamuna.
Oh, so it's the Jamuna.
Basically,
Jamuna
for
River.
people that don't understand the Faraka Barrage, it's a dam that's connecting between rivers between Bangladesh and India. So basically, these floods are kind of manufactured. I mean, some of them are natural disasters, but this one that wiped out or that impacted your craft community was a man-made phenomenon, kind of like the pesticides issue with the rats, correct?
Right. Yeah. So because of that, a lot of rats got destroyed, but I mean, the community was also affected. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, rats are nothing. So so if the flood didn't happen, I think Shadhin would have more rats. I mean, 20,000 plus. Oh my God. So this is the bigger view of the installation at the Asian Art Biennale. It was in 2016 as well. So it was the same. So it was in December. You want to talk about it? Please talk. Okay. So this is a long-term project that Shadhin did. I mean, I'm talking about on behalf of him. I don't know why he's not talking, but yeah. So he's very interested in migration, ecology, climate change, but in 2000 during 2016 actually he became interested in how, because in 2015 or 16 Malaysia. So a mass grave of migrants were discovered in the jungles of Malaysia, and majority of them were Bangladeshi. So every year, at least, I mean, thousands of people get on very dangerous kind of boats to travel to go to Malaysia for a better future. Malaysia and Singapore, so that's their target. Thailand, sometimes Australia, yeah, and most of them meet horrible calamities. I mean, and there's a big smuggler trafficking community. I wouldn't call them community. Trafficking group that lure them with various baits to get on that boat, and after taking them, I mean, in the middle of the sea, they will call their families and hold them for ransom to pay them more money. And if the families fail to pay money, they will throw the migrants in the sea. And the people who finally reach the jungles are put in human prison-like cells that the traffickers have built for them, and they are charged with more money. So that Shadhin actually wanted to work with these migrants who, find the families and the people who got lucky and could get back and talk to them. So it was a very long process of meeting them, finding them, interviewing them, and so this is one of the.
And he's the guy who captured more than 3 times, and he's more than 5 years he was in the jungle and in the jail in Malaysia.
Yeah, he survived all of that, and because of him, his mother had to sell all their land, and finally he reached. This is in St. Martin's, the island at the southernmost part of Bangladesh, in the Bay of Bengal. So his mother had to sell all their land, and his mother doesn't talk to him anymore now.
Mother don't allow him to show her house, and this is backside. It's his house.
He lives in that the place that the house. It's not a house, but that's where he lives now.
The good family and almost rich.
Yeah, they were very well off, but his mother had to sell everything. Now his mother lives with his elder brother, and she has brought him back, but she doesn't talk to him anymore, and nobody from his family talked to him anymore. And what Shadhin did was he met these people who experienced these tortured, and who was put on a boat, who was forced. Sometimes there was forced. They were, they've been to the beach, and some group of people came and tied them up and took on a boat so they can charge them. Ransom them for money afterwards. It's a big business over there. So what Shadhin did was he held talking sessions with these individual talking sessions. He talked with them, tried to learn about their experience and why they would get on a boat, because he was a well-off person. Why would he go on a boat to go to Malaysia for an uncertain future? It's mostly about the myth like stories that when you reach Malaysia, it's a land of gold. So you get gold, you get large screen, big screen TVs, and such stories are around. And yeah, some are successful, some have gone there and made money, but very few in number. I mean, that those stories get around and everybody's chasing that dream. So Shadhin actually exchanged used clothes from them that's discarded or torn or something that they don't use anymore. He took a lot of new shirts and new clothes to them and exchanged them with their used clothes as a token of friendship or empathy. So then afterwards,
in the same time, we have found that like the Rohingyas in end of the 2017, suddenly we just we are there.
So this happens in the coastal areas in Bangladesh, mainly Chittagong, and Cox's Bazar, and the islands around Cox's Bazar. And so when he was collecting the stories and he was meeting the migrants, illegal who traveled illegally to on a boat to Malaysia or Thailand. During that time, when he was there, the new Rohingya influx occurred. I mean, thousands and thousands of people were coming, and the coastal area was, mile after mile filled with these refugees that took shelter here, and they walked for miles and miles until they reached here from Myanmar. And then Shadhin also included them because, and also he talked with them because you couldn't help it because they're around you. They're all, I mean, at that time, there was no fixed camp for them. And they were on both sides of the road, they were, full of refugees and with children, with elder people. I mean, it was horrible to see. So he also communicated with them. And the surprising thing is, you could find, it was very unusual sight because you could find lots and lots of clothing lying in the mud around the Naf River. So we were asking who these, clothes belong to. And the thing is, when they come here, their clothes get so muddy and torn. And there was a lot of NGOs and local community who gave them new clothes to the newcomers. So what they did is they just discarded their clothes that they were wearing, and because it was already torn and full of mud, so they just wet from crossing the river. So they changed their clothes there and threw the old clothes away. So Shadhin collected those clothes as well, which were lying around the river, on the banks of the river, and also included that in this work. So afterwards, he brought all the clothes in this village in Balia, and we have, as I said before, we have a large community of Muslim settlers in the village. They mostly are ecological migrants. They came from the southern part and the eastern part of the country because they lost their homes due to river erosion. So we have a large community here who are called settlers, and also a community. Assamese community. So that community actually Katha. It's a kind of traditional quilt in Bangladesh, which is you have a plain stitch which is called Katha stitch, and it's used during the winter to cover yourself during sleeping. So so he actually in the northwest, in Thakurgaon, Katha is not was not an usual thing, because here the winter is very, very harsh. So mainly what they use is jute fabric. They have a waist loom through which they weave jute to make thick jute fabric, and they cover themselves with that. I mean, it happened like maybe 50 years ago, but you don't see that anymore. The katha is now used. So the katha stage was brought to this part of the country by these settler communities, because they come from the south, and south is very rich in katha culture. So Shadhin actually collaborated with the women from the settler communities. They're not settlers actually, they're already, I think, next generation, two generations of they have spent 2 generations here already, and they are considered local. But I mean, the settler tag is used by the original inhabitants of the
Bhatia.
And also Bhatia. Bhatia means the people that have come from the Bhati region. Bhati means from the regions with big rivers. Bhati is actually downstream, so they've come from the southern, downstream regions. So they're called Bhatia. It's a very local tagging, labeling that it's very common. So so he collaborated with these women to make a big, very large quilt using the clothes that he has collected in the coastal areas. And and he also talked with the women about how other migrants, I mean, these women have migrant history. So, and there are other migrants on the southernmost part who have a different kind of history, but they have all lost their homes. They have all settled in a place that is not considered as theirs. So so it was kind of stitching stories of different kinds of loss of home and stories. So this is how they're stitching the clothes. And this was part of the exhibition that we did into the first we show when we work here, when we make something here, we actually put it up, put an exhibition thing for the communities, the surrounding communities, for them to see. Because I mean, we're making it's good that it's traveling. It's going to big galleries and biennales and Dhaka Art Summit for this case. But we think that it's very important to show it to the communities as well, because they have made it. They have, and also a lot of people will turn in and see it from surrounding villages as well. So so this is our exhibit at the Balia village here, and this is from the Dhaka Art Summit where it was shown, and it was there was a projection of words that from the interviews that Shadhin collected from the migrants. So it was just sentences scrolling through the clothes, the quilt. Yeah. So this is a up close of the stitches. You can see the stitches. And okay, so this work traveled to, the last one was at Garage in Moscow. Oh, Dhaka Art Summit. So Art Summit, Moscow, and this was shown in Dubai, a show that Diana curated at Concrete. So,
Diana, can you put the petition?
Diana, do you want to talk about it?
Well, I don't think there's much more to say, but I mean, obviously there's endless amounts of, stories of migrants, but we didn't talk about the kidnapping issue. Like, some people leave voluntarily under false premises, but other people are kidnapped against their will, or with the Rohingyas, they have no other choice but to flee. So the amount of material and people that you could talk to is endless. But I think what was different about the Dubai piece than the others is that we actually created this piece for the wall and for the building, right? So I think what's interesting, and you already talked about it with Greed, is that your works kind of take an initial form and then they keep growing, like they're kind of ongoing social practices. So in theory, this piece could be even larger, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's just a process, or even our process of working together as artists and curators. It's like something that's accretive, something that builds. And I think also in Dubai, where this exhibition happened, there is a huge migrant community. And the migrant community in Southeast Asia Bangladeshi migrant community in Southeast Asia is less talked about than the one in the Arab world. So it was interesting to bring these two contexts together.
Thank you. So we are moving to another work here. So this was done exclusively in collaboration with Gidree Bawlee, because the communities that Shadhin collaborated with are all from Gidree Bawlee, and it's their stories and it's their history. So it's a very intriguing story. Really, there's a very complicated historical strands for this work. It's inspired through research, and do you want to talk about it? Okay. So the material that he used is jute. So jute has a very intriguing history related to this place. So the form that you see here, this is a shika. Shika is a shika is a form of hanging. I mean, it's like, so it's like a jute hanging to place pots. So they usually the people will put food and other grain to keep it out of animals or babies. So what Shadhin did was he collaborated with a community who has a lineage, who has historical connection to Assam. Assam is a northeast district, province, a northeast province of India. So during the British rule, so there was no border then, and the British were always looking for, the rulers were always looking for opportunities to make money. so and they actually used this delta region for producing raw material for their industries. So industrial revolution started around 18th century or 17th century. So when it started, they actually, these region was mainly grain producing region. So they used to grow rice and corn, wheat, and maize. So they used to grow a lot of crops, for food crops, but and jute was also cultivated but in a very cute. I'm sorry, I'll just check if
maybe if you can talk about how the by adding jute into the agricultural landscape, you had to raise the lands, correct? Like that was a process of changing the land. And by doing that, rice couldn't be grown, which needed to be in a floodplain.
I'm sorry, I just, what happened? Cute. My computer is gone crazy.
Just go into slideshow mode.
Yeah, are you, okay. Yeah. So, so this work actually, so yeah. So what? So to continue from what I was saying, so the British introduced the jute production in mass scale, uh, mainly during the during the First World War, when they needed a lot of jute. First World War, I forgot.
Yeah, First World War.
First World War. So they needed a lot of gunny bags to make, and so they had to. I'm sorry, I'm just losing it.
They needed basically a material that could pack other materials to ship them out of the colonies, right? So if they needed supply, they
so
needed
actually,
so
they gave incentives. They gave incentives to the farmers to cultivate it, and sometimes they forced them, but it also it was mainly incentive because it was also the time of industrial boom, and also capitalism was forming. So the farmers were lured with money. They were introduced to cash crops. So if you have cash, you can buy better products. So, and also they built railways by then, the British, to carry the goods to factories and to make transport easier. And by doing that, they also opened up various markets, and various market products reached to rural markets as well. Uh, so, so cash crops was a very lucrative and a very attractive for the farmers. So what they did was a lot of farmers they cultivated jute instead of grain, and ended up with a food shortage because the way this region works is you produce your yearly grain, yearly food from the fields that you have, and you store it. But uh, when they started to produce jute, it just didn't. Yeah, and also because of trade, because of the introduction of trains and railways, a lot of migration happened, and the British after they turned this region into jute producing areas. As food shortage happened, a lot of people actually lost their land, so they had to move elsewhere. And during building that railways, they have built embankments on the rivers and canals of this region. They had to do it. And as they were not familiar with, Bangladesh is, I mean, this Bengal Delta is so, the rivers are like intricate nets here. It's just full of rivers. And because of that, they had to build a lot of embankments and bridges, small bridges, and that's why a lot of rivers changed course, and for that, a lot of people also lost their homes. And afterwards, the British, I mean, they
are pushing them. They invite them to. They need lots of youth. That's why they invite them to come Assam.
Yeah, so they actually convinced the farmers, the landless farmers, to move to Assam, because the British have discovered that Assam is a very fertile land and it's full of jungle, but if it's cleared up, it can open up a lot of cultivable land, and where they can produce jute. And the Bengal farmers are experienced jute farmers, so if they can move there, so the production will be good there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think people think of railways as something that connects people, but actually the way that the railways were built was as a way to extract goods and to move labor.
Yeah.
Guys, like we've been going for almost an hour, so I think can we move to see some install shots from the summit of this piece, and then maybe we can talk a bit about the railroads and those systems.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, this is how we displayed it in the village. There's just a small part of the installation, and this is the installation at the summit. So what you see here is 25 to 30 feet long shikas. We call these things shika. So these are all made by jute, by the community. We have we have another migrant community here who came from Assam. It's very interesting. I mean, people have moved to Assam from here, from Bengal, and during partition, during 1946 and afterwards, a lot of people from Assam, these were Muslim peasants who traveled to Assam during the British era. And afterwards, after 46, they had to move back. And they don't have any land in the Bengal area, so Bangladesh, I mean, then East Pakistan. So they entered and traveled through the Brahmaputra River, which enters Bangladesh from Assam. So so also the railway lines actually are aligned with the river, right?
Yeah.
So so they traveled back here, and after changing houses several times, changing place several times because of river erosions, because they will always settle into shore river areas, river banks. Yeah. So finally they settled here. So there's a large Muslim Assam returned community here who settled here during the 1946 and afterwards. So Shadhin collaborated with women from that community to make these shikas, and and also this so this is the so this is the map. This is the railway map that Shadhin used for arranging the shikas. The lines that you see at the top of this installation is the map, and each shika represents a station, a major station through which they traveled, and also, once it was taking them to produce jutes, and also the jute were coming to Kolkata from that, through that railway track, and afterwards they also the migrants during the partition, they traveled down that track until they settled here in Thakurgaon. So this is the map, and the stars are, I think, major stations which played a big role in these carrying. This is another image. So there were clay pots, and this is a jute pot, and also
some metal pots also there. And what's the meaning with the shikas and the pots? I just trying to say that my art scene that about the capitalism, introducing the capitalism, and they just lost their food security and all the things, all the happening only for this food. That's why I'm trying to show what's the chain of the train line, what's the meaning of the shikas, and the main thing is about the food. And you see that then we introduced the nice pot also. Before we most of the people in our country they used clay pot. The first they see
the markets also introduced metal pots, and metal pots were considered as more elite to have. So that's how railways actually contributed to converting the rural market system into more.
And unfortunately, this politics is still happening now. What's the politics behind the jute? This is started since 1700, and now it still is doing the same thing. And still, the people who are from the Assamese, they are searching the same foods now. So you can find now. Maybe today we'll show some of them. They are the same people who are fighting the same food for more than 300 years.
Yeah, the crisis is still the same. So,
last.
Diana, do you want to talk about this work, or is it okay?
I think maybe just if you can touch on it briefly, and then we can go into looking at what you guys are doing now. That would be great.
Yeah.
About the performance?
Yes.
At the Art Summit? Okay.
Yeah, briefly.
Okay. So we were collaborating with our children from the community since 2017, and they have their own group now, which is called Gidree Bawlee Children's Puppet Theatre Group. So they perform with puppets, and this is a performance we developed for the Dhaka Art Summit, which is about the animals and other beings, other non-human beings that got lost over time because of environmental degradation by human or by climate change that's happening. And yeah, so these are our children's group who are performing at Dhaka Art Summit. That's an installation by Taloi Havini. And so this is the open studio we had till yesterday, until the rain came and destroyed. I mean, we had to dismantle it very quickly, and so this is a current project that we are doing, which is called Bhumi, and we're working intensively with craftsmen from our village, and it's a very experimental craft-based work. And
this COVID situation, we stuck more than 3 months in our house. Then we came here.
So we are here for months now, and due to COVID situation, these craftsmen that we collaborated with in the past, and we always work with, who are part of Gidree Bawlee, because we call ourselves a community collective, and so we were looking for a way to support them. And so we got a fund from Gidree Bawlee Foundation, and we actually implemented it for the last few months. And we'll show you around now. So this is the installation that we did. It was done day after yesterday, but now it's not. They're not in the pond because of rain. Today it's sunny, and we will show you around our current working process. Oh, okay. Stop screen sharing, right?
Yeah, we're still on your screen.
Yeah, I'll just stop it. Ah, got it. So can you see it now?
Yeah.
Camera? So these are straw.
Motion, we can't really hear you.
You can't because the
Now we
microphone is.
can. Now we can. Now we can.
Can you hear me now? I mean, it's my laptop, so my microphone is at the front. So if I'm not at the front, you will have a hard time hearing me. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So these are straw figures that are done by our farmers, mainly, but they actually work with.
Apu, we cannot hear you now.
Maybe show them and then talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So this is the Borman's group. They make these things. দেখতে পাচ্ছ?
And what's the material?
It's straw. It's straw.
Straw. Okay.
So this is a very unique weaving technique.
Yeah. Motion, we can't hear you.
Okay, I'll talk later then.
কোনটা উঠতেছে? দেখতে পাচ্ছ না? ও লিখছে ওখানে নয়ন। হ্যাঁ।
Great. Guys, it's really great to see like kind of the site where you're working and who you're working with. And maybe now is a good time if anyone in the audience has questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay.
Questions, anyone?
Should I just say briefly what you've seen?
Yep, that would be great. Please do.
So you saw the straw figures. The weaving technique of the straw figures that you saw is very unique to this place. And also in the afternoons, we have the children come over and work on projects. So they're making pinwheels now with bamboo. So that's, you saw, I mean, they're very regular. They'll always come in at the right time. And Shadhin is also working on an extension of the jute project, the Shika project. So that's what you saw also. So yeah, if you have any questions now. No questions? No questions.
Then
It was a very nice and detailed presentation about the context and the material and the communities that you're working with. And I think another thing we should share is that, you know, you also sell some of these crafts to give them income. So it's kind of your fueling togetherness through the making process, but also through enabling economy. And it's an ongoing process, right? So you've been working with the kids, you have a puppet theater workshop. I think it's a way of really trying to meld people from very different communities together by joining them in making. And yeah, so I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing. We've been so happy to
Thank
support you guys over the years and looking forward to more of it in the years to come. Oh wait, we have a question. Catherine wants to know if you could tell us more about how the new floating straw sculptures will develop.
okay.
So yeah, so we will we are making our collaborators are making more of these sculptures, and currently these are small these work as small groups of people with stories of their own. And I mean, so we will later we have I mean, it's not the floating, it's not a particularly floating sculpture. So it's just installed in the pond, and we have plans to install it around the village at different settings. And afterwards, it will be, if the situation gets better and we get a vaccine and everything opens up, maybe we will show it in galleries in the future. And also Shadhin has, I think, some plans to work with the weaving technique in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it might develop. So it's a new thing we're working on. So
And this
will develop.
unique style maybe helps me to make the different ideas. Also the bamboo and
Yeah.
straws.
So yeah. The objects we saw hanging on the trees. Yeah, those are bamboo. Those are made of bamboo, and it's a kind of a 3D pattern, organic forms that Shadhin has collaborated with bamboo craftsmen for this. We have a large bamboo craftsman community as well. So the leader was Tony Borman. Yeah, so it's a collaboration between Shadhin and Tony Borman, and they have made organic forms that are found on Earth, on the soil, like worms and other organic forms. And yeah, so that's the conceptualization of the work. But it's all made of bamboo, and it kind of goes like, you know, it has a, I don't know if it was clear from the video, but it has a, you know, 3D like effect when you see it.
That's also an ongoing thing. Like we supported that Charcha Sessions project where you guys were also working with artisans to use their techniques, traditional techniques in a new way, right? It's part of something that you guys
Yeah.
ongoing.
Yeah, Charcha Sessions, yeah, it was used somewhere to tell stories like this. Straw masks in গল্পটা সববার এটা কি ওভাবে করে গল্প বলার জন্য ব্যবহৃত হবে স্ট্র ফিগার গুলা?
এটা অবশ্যই
এই গল্পটা সবারের মতো। Yes, it actually has as you have seen, they're in clusters, and each group has different stories to tell. So we have Akalu Bormon here who led this project, and he actually has individual stories for all the groups. So we might make a video out of it for the stories to, to express the stories. Otherwise, it will be hard to.
Yeah, I
Thank
agree.
you,
They're great.
Kathleen.
No, they're really, and I
Thank
think I
you.
also love seeing them in the water and the reflection and the tie, like they're stories of the land created from something so organic. Like we can't wait to see this develop. And I think that's also great about the way you guys work is that it's years of production, right? Like that piece for DAS took 2 years. Like these are all like very long-term skill-based projects to skill both in terms of like holding on to oral tradition, but also making. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how Gidree Bawlee works. We, it's not a top-down, like you come with an idea and implement it here. The idea should come from here and grow and develop to something bigger. So
Yeah, and I
that's
think it's also great that the exhibitions start here too, here meaning in your site, right? Like the people who make it and the culture with which it comes from are the first that get to experience it.
Yeah, because they actually, the communities, the members of the community wait for this because it's like a festival for them. During the open studios, they will wait for these days, and people are still coming to see the works. I mean, today we, I think, found at least 20 people who came to see the works, and they were very disappointed that they couldn't see the pond installation because of the rain. So yeah, so we have different kind of audience, and it's an interesting. I think what interests me more is that the works that we do reach all kind of audience, from here to an international audience when it's displayed in an international exhibition.
And they definitely do, and it's the same work, right? Like, so I think it's not a work that's meant to project an idea of where you are. It actually is of where you are, right? Like the people, their stories are very much in it. And I also think it's great, like in the Dhaka Art Summit, some of the people who make up those pieces travel with you, right? So it's a form of mobility, both physical and through the imagination. Hey guys, well, thanks so much for your time. Anyone who wants to get in touch with Gidree Bawlee, you can follow them on Facebook or on social media. And yeah, thanks to everyone who watched.
Not very active, but
because you're so
active.
active.
Not very active on social media, but it's good to follow, good to have followers.
I'll close with this. You know, you guys also contributed a beautiful video for our Art Around the Table initiative, where the children of the village were talking about how people are complaining about all this digital learning, but they actually don't have the internet, and they're doing just fine working, you know, in analog ways. So I don't think being socially media active is the most important thing to be doing right now. So keep doing the great work you're doing.
Dana, there is
a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. First, I would like to thank for this wonderful presentation. Actually, I know that you're working with this community of this rural area for a very long period of time. And it is like you are actually creating a platform for them. So my question is that from your activities and your this kind of projects, the community who are involved in this project, what is the impact in their life, in their standard of living or anything else, in their education, the impact of your work, the impact of your project to that community? Can you just briefly describe what is the impact and how they are getting more, it's a kind of what I see as a kind of a cultural revolution in that area, and what is the impact on the society of your work?
So we don't actually work like typical NGOs so we cannot give you numbers and statistics, but I think you can see the impact when you're here. And yeah, also education, we run several parallel projects where we have classes for children, art projects, and like you saw, they're
I
making
think the
tea wells.
impact is that we are working more than 20 years, and we have now the generations. Yeah. You have to come here and just stay sometimes, then you can realize
Feel
what's
it.
the, you can feel it, what's the impact is. It's
Yeah,
not
and
about the
also,
money or something, it's about their uh, process of thinking.
And as someone
Yeah.
who was there as well, like I can really speak to this. Like it was such a pleasure to come and to stay and to just see again how you have Hindu, Muslim, indigenous communities all sharing meals together and making things together. Or like it really touched me what you were talking about with your puppet theater group, to explain to parents where child marriage is something happening, right? Because the dowry is less if you get married younger, that there's another kind of future for these girls. So I think it's slowly changing kind of through education and mobility, the potential that people see for the future, for, you know, it doesn't have to be the way it was.
yeah, and also we
So,
work in, sorry.
no, it's okay. Continue, please.
Yeah, I was saying that, also there's, we work a lot with the traditional community cultural elements that they have possessed for, for generations. And now that the mainstream media is available, uh, the attention is shifting. So I think we have kind of made a point of respecting their culture. And also, mainstream media you participate in, but you don't take from it and change yourself for it, because what you have is beautiful, what you have is unique. So I think that's a very important belief to instill in children. And I think through Gidree Bawlee's work we are doing it. It's a constant work and the change is slow, but as I said, as Diana said, if you hear, you'll feel it.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Actually, what you pointed out, that you're working like 20 years in this particular community, and there may be 2 or 3 generations who are involved with your project. So now you can see the change, that the way of thinking, how they look at things around them, or how they react, or how they behave with one another, or within the community, there might be some sort of change in terms of their collaboration. And this kind of work is a collaborative work and a teamwork. Definitely it will enhance their social behavior. So I think you guys are working really great, and best of luck for your future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys, and hope to
Thank
see
you.
and hope to be
Thank
in
you for
Dhaka.
having us and, letting us talk. Yeah.
Guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.